Hey everybody, hope you had a happy and safe new year. I know I did. In the last few days, there's something that's been bugging me, and I decided to try and finally get it fixed, and that is time lapses with Sonic Pad. Typically, when you do your time lapses, default out of the box, you end up getting something that kind of looks like this. Now that's the time lapse from one of my previous videos, and while I love time lapses when it comes to 3D printing, and I think they're awesome, what I really like is when you make the time lapses where it seems like the parts just kind of growing out of the printer bed. I think they're really cool looking, and I haven't been able to figure out how to do it with the Sonic Pad, but I have figured it out now, and we're going to go over the steps to get that working for you right now. So we're going to take this in a few steps. The first thing you want to do is open up the Sonic Pad web interface, and from there you're going to go to Settings and go to the Time-Lapse settings. Now the settings here are the default settings, other than the fact that I changed the camera to my webcam. Now if I try to do a 3D print with this, you'll see what the final result of these settings are as it stands now. So for that test, I'm just using a basic retract tower from Cura. It doesn't look terrible, but you can see that the bed's moving, the print head's moving. Um, there's not much movement in the y-axis, so you don't see the bed moving that much, but basically that's the same settings that give you the time lapse that you see at the beginning of the video. And I'm going for something a little smoother and clearer than that. So let's get into some other settings we need to adjust, and we'll see how we can improve it. So the first thing we need to do in order to smooth out these time-lapse videos is change some settings in the time-lapse section. First thing we're going to do is we're going to enable park head. That enables parking the print head in a given spot at every layer change. For me, parking it for 100 milliseconds is fine, and the travel speed I set up to 250. That's the max that my printer will do reliably. And you can choose the position that you want to park it at: back left, front right, center. That all depends on you. If you choose custom, you can actually choose the X and Y position you want to park the head at. But for this one, let's try center. Park position Z hop. You can turn this on if you'd like. If you want to bump up the Z height every time you switch layers, what I've noticed is it leaves little nubs on the print. You can see the start print of every layer if you turn it on. But for right now, we'll leave it at 0. Your mileage may vary. Try some different settings and see what you come up with. Park retraction and distance, I set that to the same settings that I use in my slicer. And again, your settings may vary, but for me, it's 4 millimeters for the retraction distance and 50 millimeters per second for the speed. The park extrude distance, extrude speed, I just left defaulted, as well as the delay compensation. And let's go back and we'll try that same print again with those settings and see how it turns out. Well, that didn't do anything. It printed exactly the same way. There's really no change. And I was starting to wonder, is there a problem with the Sonic Pad firmware, Sonic Pad software, whatever? Or is it something I'm doing? Well, it turns out it is something I'm doing. It's not really well documented that I've seen, but there's a magic ingredient that needs to be done that will get the time lapse settings to work the way you want them to when you print. And I'm going to show you what it is right now. So that secret ingredient that is missing is right here in the time lapse page. You can see it says mode layer macro, but I never did anything. I never added a macro to my slicer settings to run any type of macro. So that's where my problem ended up being. So we need to add a setting to our slicer to tell the Sonic pad to perform an action every time there's a layer change. What we're going to do is in Cura, go to extensions, post-processing, and choose modify G-code. Now you'll see in here I already have one for creating a thumbnail. If you've watched my previous videos, that is a script that runs to create a thumbnail that gets sent to the Sonic pad as part of your sliced file. You can find a link to that video at the top right of your screen, but we're going to add a new script right now. And we're going to insert at layer change. What this is going to do is it's going to insert a command into the G code at every layer change. So when to insert, we're going to choose before, and the G code to insert is just going to be timelapse underscore take underscore frame. And click close. Now we can go ahead and slice this and upload it to the Sonic pad. We'll just name it retract our time lapse. Upload it. Okay, let's go to our browser and see how that turns out. Just choose the file and click print. And we'll see how it goes. Now that's more like it, but I'm kind of weird about this. I really want that feeling that the thing's growing, not out of the print head, but out of the bed. So all we need to do to achieve that at this point is switch back to our browser, go back to our time-lapse settings. And in my case, I'm going to change this to the back left. And one thing I forgot to mention earlier, anytime you're going to change any of these settings, you need to restart Clipper. To do that, you can just click on the buttons at the top, go to host and click reboot. Just to force it to reload all your system settings files with your new settings. Just click yes for that. And now let's give this print one more try. Now that's the result I was looking for. That's all there is to it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, please subscribe and like the video. Helps me out. Again, I hope everyone's enjoying the new year, and we'll have more information coming soon. Thanks.